On this episode, we're talking Dallas Cowboys. Camp is here, and we're like 10 days away from an actual preseason Hall of Fame. Don't want to watch it, but I'm psyched for it. But maybe I'll watch it. But who am I kidding? I'm going to watch it. Game and the Mavs free agency is 1 week from tonight. Draft is in 3 nights. Wowza, we got it all. Play the music. Welcome to the Goal Line Fade, a Dallas sports podcast. I am Zach, your host, with my RB1, Brian, and we're ready to rock. As I said on the intro, we have quite a bit of stuff to talk about. Nothing too lengthy as far as news, but just some good talking points. So I'm ready to get started. We took last week off because there was not much really to talk about, with the exception of a few things that I'm going to bring up here in a few minutes. So let's get started. Brian, how have you been this last week and a half? What you been up to, man?
Beautiful, man. Training camp started, so I'm watching that religiously on Twitter. And
you follow John Machota?
Of course, yeah.
It's the best. He posts so many videos. If you're a listener and you have a Twitter account, follow John Machota. He writes for the Dallas Morning News.
The Athletic.
The Athletic, excuse me. And it is just, you want to see what these rookies look like, cornerbacks. It's a great follow.
Yeah.
Back to you, sir. Sorry about that.
Well, he and there's a few other guys out there on Twitter that are just like him that will post basically every single play or significant play from training camp. And so I've got just going through the feed, essentially It's almost like being there. So
very fun. Yeah.
Watching that. And I wish I could say I was watching the Olympics, but I'm not watching. I'm watching Luka highlights, and that's it. That's just me being honest. But,
I recorded the game last night, actually, for Luka. I watched because the USA game was at 7 a.m. yesterday. So I tuned in with like a minute left and watched that loss happen. And then I recorded the Luka game, knowing that there's no way to avoid spoilers whatsoever. Right. And we recorded, and I think Tara and I are going to go through it, but we did have the Olympics on yesterday. We actually spent, and I'll explain this when it's coming back to me, but we spent the majority of the day in bed with my Nintendo Switch, passing back and forth, playing Mario, watching the Olympics. And then we got bored and watched something even worse that I'll get into after you're done. But what else you got going on?
That's pretty much it for me, man. Really, that's it. I'm stoked. I just got, won a contest to get some Metallica tickets. That's my favorite band of all time.
Seen them 3 times.
Yeah, this will be so in December it'll be their 40th anniversary, right? They've been around for 40 years, and so they're putting on 2 shows in December 17th and 19th in San Francisco. And so this will be my 7th and 8th time seeing them. And we're flying to San Francisco. And whenever they do the big anniversaries, they go all out. They have
I'm aware.
Past former members come. They, guys from their favorite bands come up and play with them. They go all out. So we're stoked. We got a pair of tickets for both shows, and gonna go to San Francisco in December. So I'm super pumped about that.
That's very fun. Tara and I, when we were dating, my wife and I, we went to the 35th anniversary, which was Orion Fest, and it was a 2-day rock festival.
You went to Orion Fest?
Yeah.
How do I not know that? Dude,
I have no idea, but yeah, we went. There's Red Hot Chili Peppers, them, and it was awesome.
Was that in Michigan or the one in New Jersey?
It was Michigan. It was on an island between Michigan and Canada.
Yeah. Wow, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. We it was so last minute. Like Tara, we were at Chase Place over by my old house, and she had mentioned that there's a band she always wanted to see. It was Chili Peppers, and it was Metallica. And I'm driving to work the next morning, and I hear on the Eagle, I think is what I was listening to, that they're touring. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I texted her. She's like, let's buy tickets. So we'll come to find out it was in Detroit.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. She goes, you know what? Let's do it. She goes, I'll buy the airfare and I'll take care of the airfare and hotel. I can get a deal. She's like, you just buy the tickets. So I bought the tickets. It was like, I don't know. I'm not trying to humble brag, but it's like $700 or $800. And then it was whatever for that.
Yeah.
She got a travel agent discount, but we flew out and it was so sold out. We actually had to stay at the Westin, literally in the airport. Like literally we were in the airport and we had to take Uber wasn't quite popping like this. This is a while ago. So we had to take like a $50 cab ride into the city just to get to where the buses are that then took you to the island. So it was very, very, very fun though. Very fun.
That's amazing. I can't believe you went to that. So I've seen them a number of times leading up to now. We got to go, I don't know if you paid attention to this, but they recently did the 20th anniversary of S&M where they performed with the symphony. And my wife and I went to that because they did it in San Francisco. So we flew out to San Francisco and got to see him perform with the symphony again. But that's the only big one that I've been to other than just normal touring stuff. So this one I am like, when we were out for the symphony one, it's cool because they're from San Francisco. So like we went to their headquarters, we went to the house that they lived in when they were in 1984 writing like Master of Puppets, and went to all these different places that like I said, I'm an uber Metallica nerd. And so I'm very excited to be going back out there. It's gonna be
that's cool. I just aged our relationship. It was actually their 30th anniversary. It wasn't 35th.
No, it was because
I've been in this house for 6 years. I'll be married for 6 years in October.
So I know
it was before we had this house and we're married. So I'm trying to think.
Their 30th anniversary they did in San Francisco.
Was it their 32nd randomly? I forget what it is.
Yeah, it was an anniversary, but I know it was what it was. If I remember correctly, I think it was the anniversary for an album.
Kill 'Em All?
No, it was Ride the Lightning because they played Ride the Lightning top to bottom.
Okay, there we go.
At that show you were at, it was the first time there's a song on there that they played called Escape, and it's the only time they've ever played that song live ever in the history of the band because the singer hates it.
So, it was pretty cool. They penciled themselves in as a fake band on Saturday because they were headlining Sunday, and then we were watching the Dropkick Murphys. Yes, Dropkick Murphys. And they're like, we got one song left before we do that. You guys know who this band is? He's like, you guys are liars. It's Metallica. They're playing the Kill 'Em All album from start to finish over there right now. Go, go, go. And then everybody started running on the hill to the side stage. Lars had his collection of all his horror movies and everything. Like he did it like a museum. And then Hetfield, he had his car collection out there too. So it's pretty nifty. It was a great time.
So they've made a documentary about the Orion Festival also, partly because it was as a business venture, it was a massive failure. They lost their ass as far as money goes.
Wow.
But for being a concert goer, that's a good thing because that means you got a great experience because they had to spend a lot of money to get all those bands and all those experiences there. And it's just. But it was, I'm very jealous. I would have loved to have been there. Yeah, they play, I know at the Orion Fest that you were at, they played Kill 'Em All top to bottom, Ride the Lightning top to bottom, and the Black Album top to bottom because they played 3 different sets under 3 different names and did all sorts of
wild
stuff.
Yeah. And that was the first time my wife and I got hit on by swingers as well. Nice. So that ended up happening on the bus ride back from Metallica. Yeah, weird times,
How about you? How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing real good. Saw the G.I. Joe Cobra movie on Friday. That's a thumbs down if you're not watching on YouTube right now. Man, Marvel, I like comic books. I'm a nerd. I've talked about it on this podcast. I really think Marvel has fucked over the movie going public because everyone wants to make a franchise now. They just don't want to make a movie. It used to be like, man, I made this movie. Holy shit, it did really well. So we're going to make a sequel and then a third one, or maybe it's in the plans, but they literally made this G.I. Joe movie, and I'll spoil it because you shouldn't go see it. They literally made the movie thinking they're so conceited that it's going to do well enough to make more. And like he's snake eyes for the last literally 10 seconds. Literally 10 seconds. Like the badass you want to see. And they don't even show Cobra one time. It's so lame. Oh my gosh. But it was okay. Good company. My buddy Adam and I went and had a couple beers before and saw it. So whatever. Saturday went and we had our annual salsa cook-off. My friend Alicia, Alicia and Chris. Well, we had their salsa cook-off. Well, I'm the judge, always judge. That's my thing, right? And there were 7 participants this year, so there's one that looked kind of not good. Okay, and if you're listening to the podcast and this was your salsa, I'm sorry, it didn't look good. And it had avocado in it as well, like, and it just smelled weird, right? I'm just like, okay. And my friend Blake looked at it and he's like, man, Zach, this is like missing everything but shrimp. I'm like, oh, for real, man. Hopefully it doesn't have shrimp because it could fucking kill me, right? Because I got the shrimp allergy, right? Had to go to the emergency room when I had fuzzy tacos, like out of nowhere. No shrimp allergies my entire life. And then 8 years ago, I go to Fuzzy's Taco, I have a shrimp salad, and I'm in the emergency room. Swolled up, hives all over my body, cardiac arrest almost in my heart. It was wild, right? So haven't eaten shrimp since. Okay.
Real quick, sorry to interrupt, but you're the only person on the planet I know that can top my shrimp story. So, all right.
You're welcome.
I got the worst food poisoning in the world from shrimp.
Dude, they tried to shove the Pulp Fiction needle in my heart. Jeez. Like if you remember that scene from Pulp Fiction when he has to stab Uma Thurman, he's like, "You want to stab her 3? No, I don't stab her 3 times. Stab her in the heart."
How have I not heard this story either?
Oh, it's wild. Oh my gosh, it was terrible. Yeah, I'm sorry that you missed this one also. Yeah. Like I hadn't even farted in front of my wife at the time. She's in the hospital as my girlfriend still, and I'm like, it's about to come out both ends right now. This is the most terrible thing ever, and I'm terrified of needles. Sorry to jump around so much. So I don't like to get pricked at all, right? So they're having to draw my blood. And the lady just like rubs me with alcohol and I passed out. She didn't poke me in. I passed out cold. And I woke up, like felt I'd been out for like an hour. I'm like, how long have I been out? Tara's like 4 seconds. And they didn't even poke you yet. I'm like, oh my God.
That's awesome.
So fast forward to this. So I'm eating the salsa. All of a sudden, my wife, about 10 minutes after, I think I just finished. Like we've tasted all of them now, and now we're debating like retasting some because we're trying to see which should be first, second, and third. So she runs in. She's like, "Babe, you didn't eat G, did you?" I'm like, "Yeah, I ate G." She's like, "It's got shrimp in it." I'm like, "Oh fuck, okay." I'm a shot of tequila and 6 beers in at this point, maybe 5. All right. So I'm feeling pretty good, dude. Yeah, like I'm not like out of it, but I'm feeling good. Yeah. And I'm like, okay. So they break out some Benadryl. Before I know it, I'm taking Benadryl in that state, and I like that. Yeah, you should not be operating heavy machinery, right? I'm outside talking to my friend Nate. Nate, and I literally just start swaying while I'm talking to him. I'm like, oh man, yeah, I'm loopy AF right now. My night's got like an hour left into it right now.
Sure.
Luckily, nothing bad happened. I got some hives on my back. Apparently, it was just such a small, minute amount that I got in there, and that I was good. So no emergency room, none of that. But I was just very dehydrated, and we kind of spent the day yesterday just kind of chillaxing. We actually, this is what I wanted to bring up because it's relevant for pop culture. We're playing Mario 64 on my Nintendo Switch, kind of doing that, playing original Mario, just kind of going back and forth. We're watching the Olympics. All of a sudden, she's like, let's watch something on Netflix. We turn it on, and I see like at number 9, I think, trending was this Beast show. Have you heard of this?
No, huh?
So it's a dating show. I saw a trailer for it on Twitter, and it debuted in London, and it just now came to US. It's a dating show where they dress them up in costumes. So you don't see what the person looks like. You just got to like them for their personality. And they flip-flop each episode. So one's a girl with 3 guys, one's a guy with 3 girls, and they dress all of them up like a dolphin, like a devil. And it's very impressive, like costumes they put them in, by the way. But it's terrible. And they're all 21 years old, right? So it's like so shallow, and the conversation points, and we watched like every episode. So if you're looking for a good train wreck, it's something. It's
okay. All
it's
right.
something. But that was my weekend in a nutshell. How did I get into this nutshell? I don't know. So without further ado, let's get into sports. That's what the
Yes.
people are here for. Or maybe not. Maybe not. They can hear sports stuff all the time. Our crazy stories are good. Who knows?
Absolutely.
Last week, really the only thing, in my opinion, that deserved even really talking about, besides just the random rumor stuff, was Luka becoming the NBA 2K cover athlete, which I think is a big reason. Him and Dirk, actually, both. Dirk on the Legend cover. I did want to mention it before we kind of got started because no Dallas Maverick has ever been on a video game cover, period. Like, we've had players that have been on a cover before, like Jason Kidd, but not actual,
As a Maverick.
not actually as a Maverick. And as far as the Dallas Cowboys go, for Dallas sports, period, it hasn't happened since Game Day 95 with Daryl the Moose Johnson. So it's been a minute for us Dallasites to have a video game cover. Screenshot looks good. I'm going to buy a physical copy like day one. And then when it drops in price, that's when I'll buy a digital copy to play. So generally, I don't really ramp up the 2K playing till football season's kind of over. Then I start playing some basketball games. So I am going to get a new copy and I'm going to put it in my lovely man cave. And maybe it'll actually be sitting right next to the Wonder Woman over here. So it'll be on the podcast video when people watch. But I think I need to do that. That's something I'm going to do. So
cool. Yeah, first of all, the cover art's awesome for both, for the Luka one and the Dirk one.
Don't understand Kevin Durant on it, but he's a great player. I'm not taking anything away from him. But what at past, present, future present, I don't know. But okay.
Yeah, like I would have thought they would have gone with a younger player who isn't right on the verge of being obsolete. Not that he's not a great, like you said, he's an incredible player and an all-time great player. But I would have been cool if they'd have done somebody like Ja. Or obviously they're not going to do Luka, but
did like Larry Bird or Magic, done like 3 like legends, like Hakeem Olajuwon maybe, right? Because you look at Dirk had the one-legged fade, you had the hook shot with Kareem, the dream shake, you had 3
dream shake, absolutely. Or if we're going to talk about iconic, Jerry West, do the logo, or somebody, whatever, somebody, but. And again, I have no problem with Kevin Durant as a player, but I don't understand his place on that cover. But whatever, I don't care. Dirk's on the cover. I'm pumped. I love Dirk. Cool. I worship at the altar of Dirk Nowitzki. So whatever.
Well, if you want a physical copy of that, that's the $100 version of the game. And GameStop every year has physical copies of that the day after Christmas on sale for $40. So if you are wanting to pick up a copy to have it as part of your collection,
I will.
Because Hudson and Dylan, when they were younger, would get loads and loads of different gift cards for Christmas from Tara's family. So I normally would be off the day after Tara's back to work. So I'd always take the boys to Firewall Mall and we go to GameStop and they'd have a lot of GameStop credit card or gift cards. And he got like the Shaquille O'Neal version of it, which was like 120 normally. It was like $39, brand new. All the DLC, everything in it. So he wanted to play it, not collect it, but sure, because you could probably get the Dirk version for that. So if you want to watch out for that,
I will do that. Good looking out, sir.
Oh, sure.
One other thing, if it's cool, that I was thinking about that happened last week that we, again, wasn't enough to do a podcast over, but worth mentioning now, was the opening press conference for the new brain trust of the Mavericks.
Sure.
And it was pretty standard, right? I think you and I have both covered how we feel about the whole Jason Kidd history thing, and we don't really need to go into that because they kind of touched on it, but not a lot. But the thing that I kind of gleaned from it or learned from it that I wasn't 100% clear on before is I'm pretty sure that Kristaps Porzingis is not going anywhere for a while.
I agree.
I think that they've gone out of their way. Like they've gone farther than you would if you're just trying to keep from killing his trade value. I think they're trying to pump him up, and I think they're going to try to do some things with him that Rick wasn't willing to do or able to do or whatever. Yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere for a little while. That's the only thing that I wanted your thoughts on as well.
Sure.
So.
Well, I actually had this discussion for also on Saturday. I had my niece's birthday party at 10 a.m. So I also partook in that. So it was a long day. And I talked to my brother-in-law for about an hour, and we were pretty much talking all Mavs basketball. And he asked me about Porzingis, and my thing is that I think you win either way if you don't move him now, because either he plays really, really well, they mend the fences, Kobe and Shaq type thing. I'm not saying Luka and him are that level or that their relationship is estranged like Kobe and Shaq were at one time, but maybe they're like, hey man, this is about winning a title. This is about taking the next step. Who cares if we're not BFFs? Let's be together. So either that happens and he's amazing and we win, or he gets his trade value up so we can get a Bradley Beal-ish, a fill in the blank, right? Type deal from the situation if they are wanting to move on from him this season or at the end of next off season. So I'm very intrigued by that. I think that you're settling. Like I said, I like Andrew Wiggins. I like James Wiseman, but I would only trade Porzingis. This is me. I would only trade him if they also gave us the 7th pick as well. Like I that's the kind of fucker I am, because I think
they're not gonna. So that's
no, and they would not do that at all.
No,
because those two aren't enough for me for what I think Porzingis could be compared to those two guys. I think.
Well, and
I could be completely wrong.
Well, and I'm with you 100% now. Like shortly after the playoff series, I don't remember if we did this off podcast or if we did it on, but we were talking about trade scenarios and what we would and wouldn't take. And I was all about almost every trade. I was ready to ship him out of here. And I was like,
that was also when Rick was still the coach when we were thinking about those things.
Very true. And again, the truth is I was salty and butthurt about how things went in the playoffs. Time has passed where I'm 100% with you, where I do not want to give him away for nothing.
Right.
I think with a right situation, to first address something you said, as far as between the relationship with him and Luka, I think if this team, if they were playing better and he was missing less time last year, which by the way, wasn't up to him. It was load management. That wasn't his choice. But if they were playing better and, made it out of the first round and all those kinds of, nobody would even be talking about whether or not they have a strained relationship, it's only an issue that's coming up because they're not winning enough. And I think if Kidd can build and that front office can build around those two properly and put in a system that utilizes both of their strengths, I don't see it. I think their relationship, at least from what we know and can tell, is one that could coexist just fine as long as the basketball part of it's working.
Okay. So speaking of basketball part, that's kind of where we're going to stay right now until we move on to football, since we're there. You've got Luka in his debut of the official games that count for the Olympics, 48 points last night. God, he's a stud, right? The NBA draft is in 3 nights, Thursday night. Okay. This is also kind of a condensed season. Normally the draft happens and we're looking at about 3 weeks. Normally, after 2 solid weeks at least until free agency opens up. The draft's Thursday night, free agency is 5:00 next Monday, which means you and I are not going to record because I don't know if I could successfully, maybe we could just have it live and kind of just talk about what's happening as it's happening if you want, or just wait till Tuesday.
Let's wait till
I'm open to whatever.
Let's wait till Tuesday.
Waiting to Tuesday seems like it makes a little bit more sense. So we're going to have that going on. Well, the Mavs don't have a draft pick right now. So this is the least interested I've been in a draft in a minute.
Yep.
Here's a deal for us Mavs fans to think about though. Cap space. They want more of it. They want more of it than they have. They've said priority 1, which I don't know what to believe with anything right now. It's all smoke, right? They've said that priority 1 is keeping Tim Hardaway Jr. and then also working sign and trade deals. Okay. Well, I'm not the smartest man alive. Tim Hardaway commits. We have bird rights, if that's what the term is, which means we can go over the cap and pay the luxury if they want, if they're able to get a DeRozan or fill in the blank, right? What intrigues me about all of this is you have Kleba and you have Dorian Finney-Smith, 2 guys that are on very, very, very friendly contracts, by the way,
Yeah.
that are going to get paid next summer. They both will make more than what they make now.
Like
the way it is.
considerably.
Exactly. Right?
Yeah.
Now, I don't think either one, maybe a late first round pick, maybe from somebody who is in salary cap hell and doesn't want to pay pick number 28. They'd rather pay pick 35 or whatever, right? Maybe that's an issue. But I don't know if you can get a first, but would you be willing, knowing what they bring to the table, knowing that a second round pick is a pure gamble, and this is purely for salary cap purposes, on draft night, would you be okay if one of those two was traded for a second round pick?
Yes to Maxey, no to Dodo.
I feel the same way.
I feel about Dodo like I do not want Dodo gone. I want him here. I would like.
He's a Jay Crowder, man. He's a Jay Crowder, dude.
Yeah.
He absolutely can be that kind of player.
I would like them to sign him long term. You know, I would like to see him for a while. Now that's putting the cart in front of the horse. Maxey to me is expendable, one, because of Dodo, right? And two, I think Maxey is going to get paid again. We're not talking crazy money, but he's going to get paid more money than what the Mavs are going to be able to or willing to pay him.
Well, because he's a big that can stretch the floor, as opposed the Willie Cauley-Stein, the Hassan Whitesides of the world are getting paid $1.5 million, $2 million now, and the Klebas of the world are getting 8 to 12.
Yeah, I was going to say
because they're stretching the floor, right?
Yeah.
So I'm with it. I personally, it's tough for me because in the NFL, you get free agency first, then you get the draft, right? Not knowing who we're going after, what the money's looking right. That's what scares me, is that if you, once again, and this is because I've been left at the altar a lot, right?
A whole lot.
Not knowing what's going to be reeled in, thinking of we've got two guys that are very good. You draft a second round player, man, there's no guarantee they're making the team.
None whatsoever.
So, and you've got two guys that are very valuable role players and would be on anybody else's team. I'm not saying they're starting caliber, not saying they're all-stars or ever will be, but very solid role players. That's a big gamble, man. Just betting on doing it to free up cap space, because that's what you're doing. Now you've got a guy that's on a second that maybe you won't even have to pay a contract to. You're sending to the G League, and you're freeing up that space. So that's a gamble.
Okay, so here's the catch, right? They had while the official free agency period doesn't start until what we were talking about, they are talking and negotiating right now.
Oh, it's going to be insane this weekend. As soon as starting Thursday starts the weekend.
Yeah,
there was already a trade today. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Weird trade, by the way. I mean, I get it. It's cap space. New Orleans can now match Lonzo if they want, or they could go get another player with good money.
Yeah, big money. I without knowing where they really stand as far as going after the bigger fish that are out there, right? I wouldn't be comfortable even doing it with Maxey unless they are very confident that they're going to be able to reel in Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, whoever it is, or they've got a really nice sign and trade for sign and trade for Kawhi or one of those, you know what I'm talking about, a significant piece.
Unless they're bringing in DeRozan and Kawhi, and they've got to free up an extra $28 million somehow or whatever. And it looks like Kawhi now is going to sign a new deal. He's pulling an Aaron Rodgers, apparently.
We'll see. That's how it looks. But 12 hours ago, it was there. It looks like it's completely breaking down between Kawhi and the Clippers. Well, so who knows, man? Well, I don't believe it until they sign. And because what I don't want this to be is Giannis 2.0 for us, right? Sure. It's a different circumstance, and by no means am I saying that Maxey is anywhere near where Giannis was, even when he was being drafted and a rookie. But I would really hate, just for the sake of a very small amount of cap space, us to move on from a player who could be, at least on this roster, fairly significant.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And there's one thing that I'm enjoying right now, and the power of Nico already. So the Mavs are linked to to Chris Paul, who hasn't even opted out of his deal yet, right? The
By the
Mavs
way,
are linked to Kawhi Leonard, who has not opted out of his deal yet. The Mavs are also linked to.
Chris Paul ain't coming here. It ain't him.
I know he's not. I
No, you
trust me.
know that, and
I
I know that.
we know exactly. We've talked about it on our podcast. Why not, right?
Go ahead. Sorry.
They're linked to Kyle Lowry. They're linked to DeMar DeRozan. They're linked to Rashawn Holmes, who's also very good. But if that's your big get, nothing against Rashawn Holmes. If that's your big get, unless Porzingis is an all-star this year, that's not enough, right? And that's who and then also they've been linked in talks to John Collins signing, and that's playing with fire because that's a weight deal, man, because they have the ability to match. So that's
RFAs terrify me, man.
Yeah. Michael Redd, man, we got left at the altar that time. Remember that 12 years ago, 15 years ago?
Yep.
So we'll see with the Mavs, but it is funny to see that we're linked with all of those people right now. That's the power of Luka. That's the power of Nico, and it's actually coming from Shams. It's coming from Woj. It's coming
legit
from
sources.
It's coming from legit. It's not rumblings. Mike Fisher on the Fan talking about exclusive. We have money to go after this person. We should do it. It's an actual real, like, they don't say it unless it's being talked about type guys, right?
Yeah, very true. And I'm not saying we're going to get any of the tippy top tier, but I do think we will. I don't know. I just kind of have a feeling right now. I just have a feeling that it's Kyle Lowry. I think we end up with Kyle Lowry. That's just my gut. Looking at what's out there,
he's a very good player.
He's a very good player, but that's just this is not a prediction. Well, let me. This is not reporting. I have no real reason. I just kind of have a gut feeling. That's all.
Okay.
I'd rather it be DeRozan, but whatever.
I've been saying LA for a really long time about DeRozan. I had a feeling. I've been saying it for like 5 years. I eventually thought his path was going to end up there. We'll see though. The Chris Paul situation. If that dude opts out, he's going to LA. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
You're not going to New York. The New York rumor thing. Sure, give him $80 million for 3 years, but he wants to win a championship. It's Phoenix or LA. He's either gonna surf or swim. So he's doing something. He's doing something, right? I don't know what's going on, but something's happening. So that's it. Do you have any other basketball stuff you want to talk about?
Luka's amazing. That's all I got.
I can't wait to watch the highlights, man. He scored 30 and a half.
Yeah,
that's great. I know it's versus Argentina, and they're not as good as they once were with Ginobili and.
No, I was gonna say, Manu's not walking through the door, but still, he also had 13 rebounds, like 6 assists and 3 steals, or no, 3 blocks.
He had a playoff line, dude. It's very, very similar.
So, that's all I got basketball wise.
All right, cool. So let's move to football. All right. So we have camp. It's going down. The Cowboys reported, was it Wednesday last week? It's been not quite a week yet. Like you said, we've been watching Twitter. I'm seeing a lot of good highlights. They don't show many lowlights on the Twitter. So kind of just hearing where, you kind of hear on the radio and such, or podcast, what people might be not doing well or doing well. So 2 things that are relevant right now that are NFL wise is that it looks like the Aaron Rodgers stare down is over. He's going to be reporting to camp. They restructured his deal. I'm confused on how they're saving cap, but yet he's really only playing 1 more year there, and then they're going to move him. But however the math works, that's not for me to decide. He will be a Green Bay Packer this year. And then Deshaun Watson is the other. Deshaun Watson, it reported to camp. They are trying to trade that dude. And there's lots of rumblings that NFC East, both, if not one, of these fellas. So that's why I want to talk about them, because I think it's safe to say that Philadelphia, maybe even New York, it's safe to say that really this is Daniel Jones with the Giants. Like, dude, you gave that guy Kenny Golladay. You've got the rookies. You got Barkley. Like, this is, if he can't do it this year, it's rebuild for that team, right? So really, with the exception of Dak, You have 3 teams that could hone in and try to trade for these people. Philadelphia has shown they have no problem with the Mike Vick signing straight out of prison, with the PR nightmare that was. Granted, this is way different. We're in a woke culture, but they did deal with that. Deshaun Watson, woo, that would be a rough one with everything that's been going on with him. But do you think?
Okay,
Do you think one of these 2 guys, sometime this year or next?
Okay, so I think Deshaun Watson's going to be a Philadelphia Eagle. I do think that. I hate it. It makes me want to die inside. Here's what I'm hoping, right? This sounds terrible, but I'm just going to be honest. I'm hoping that the Eagles give up like 5 first-round picks that it's going to take to get him, right? And then he gets suspended. That's what I hope happens.
That's terrible.
It's terrible, but it's true. I hope it happens because I hate the Eagles. But I think that, I mean, I don't, the Eagles don't believe in Jalen Hurts, and they have 3 first-round picks this year. So I could absolutely see them, I could see that happening. I hope it doesn't, but I really hope somebody else in another division, preferably the AFC, steps up. I'd love, Miami, Denver.
Miami has the most liquid picks to go after either one, in my opinion.
I would love to see Denver go get him, just because I'd also like to see that division get even crazier,
Deshaun Watson, Justin Herbert, freaking Patrick Mahomes.
Just
Ed Carr.
Yeah. But just watch.
Maybe Aaron Rodgers will go to the Oakland. You have all 4 of them.
That would be amazing. And just let those 4 dudes beat the bejesus out of each other all year long, But I don't know. We'll see. Your thoughts?
My thoughts are, I have something else I want to mention. Do you think when Tom Brady made the quote, "You're sticking with that fucking guy," when he was trying to trap for a few teams, he won't say, do you think it was the Raiders and Derek Carr?
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely do.
Yeah. Okay, cool. We're on the same level. I do think that Philadelphia could make a play. I guess the good news for Philly, or the bad news for Philly, I don't know which way you want to call it, is that it's probably not going to happen before the season starts with either guy. So I would imagine that any owner right now is going to be kind of gun shy to have in the training camp, and to have, like, it's easier to deal with things week 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 than it is when all there is to talk about is what's going on just under your roof, right? Because then you start talking about the team you're playing against. You can cover up a little bit easier for what.
There's more news.
Yeah.
There's more news.
Right.
Other news to drown it out.
Sure. So I think that if Jalen Hurts comes out and plays well, or Fitzpatrick, then maybe they. And
here's the thing: I don't think it's the Reds or the football team, Washington
Guardians.
Yeah, whatever. I don't think it's going to be them, because the assets they have to pull that trade off, I don't think they'd be willing to let go of. Right? They don't have the multiple first round picks. And I think you would have to give up like Chase Young and they're like, and I don't think they're going to do that.
I don't know, dude. If you can just give up 3 first round picks to add Deshaun Watson with Scary Terry and Antonio Gibson with that defense, I think you do it all day, every day.
If it's just 3 first round picks,
right?
Absolutely. But they're not doing that. Houston's come out and said they want 6 ones. If it's just draft picks, they want 6 first round picks.
Well, man, if they think they can win a Super Bowl, they could.
But here's the thing. You don't give up 6 first round picks for a quarterback that you do not even know for sure is going to play the full year before getting suspended. You have no idea,
And clearly, let's be real. This isn't a joke.
Yeah.
Clearly, the man has a fetish, and fetishes don't go away.
No,
like,
it's gonna pop up again.
He clearly likes massage parlor antics. Like that's like his thing.
Yeah.
And hey, everybody's got their thing. That's his. And he needs to find a way. He needs to like find a way to like be a little bit more like uncreepish about it, you know. But
let's again, no judgment. Whatever, but it's gonna rear its head again. You know, it's
sorry, I don't mean to giggle like a schoolboy.
no. You know, I said it that way on purpose. I was going for the giggle. It is, especially, dude. That's all going down in Houston. Imagine if he ends up in a town like
Vegas?
Philly or Vegas, Philly, DC. I mean, yeah, it's going to be, yeah. So I seriously doubt Washington does it just because they don't have the assets that they're willing to part with to pull it off. Philly has 3 first-round picks this upcoming draft, this next draft. You know, they can put together a package and make it happen. But I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I'm terrified of it. I really don't want to have to go against them twice a year.
Well, as my dog eats my hand as I freaking record this, you know what, man? Like moving on to the Cowboys about this like aspect of it is I'm so happy that we don't have to worry about the quarterback situation right now. Like it's not a story, it's done. Right.
Yeah.
What's intriguing to me is this is the first year that I've like I know the Hall of Fame game is going to be atrocious. I'm not expecting it to be anything else besides atrocious. It's in a week and a half, but I'm like low key still I'm going to watch it and I'm going to enjoy it. After the Cowboys were so bad last year, I want to see some of these guys play. And I don't know who's going to play. I don't know who's not going to. It's too early to tell all that, right? Yeah. But I'm ready for it, man. And I don't know, like with you watching what you've been watching a lot of Machota. Like who's on your radar, man? Like who's pumping you up? Who are you like, yes, like okay, like who's kind of excited you so far in camp?
Okay. Number one, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Number one is Randy Gregory. Randy Gregory is he is my, and I think I said this on the podcast at one point or another, but he is my pick for the dude who's gonna, you know, I don't know if he's gonna be Pro Bowl, but that he's gonna have a hell of a year. Double-digit sacks, you know, that's coming. But also Neville Gallimore has had a really, really good camp so far. And even the coaches have talked about how his offseason has been incredible, and they're expecting a big second-year jump. Dak, of course, has looked great. Zeke has looked great. The O-line has looked really good. Micah Parsons has looked really good. There's been a lot of guys that have looked good or better than they were expected to. Handful of guys that have looked worse than we had hoped. One of those guys that has looked worse than we hoped has led to us signing a veteran. So there's a couple of different guys out there right now that are real, like, you know, they're giving Connor Williams a bunch of snaps at center, which is really interesting because we could end up with both Connor Williams and Connor McGovern starting, maybe, if they put Connor Williams at center, Connor McGovern at left guard. So that could be very interesting. Dalton Schultz has been on fire. Is it just Jarwin's not recovered yet all the way? Yeah, no, he's still in the rehab portion, you know, which and it's not, they're being really precautious with a handful of guys. DeMarcus Ware, Amari Cooper.
Yeah, Cooper's on PUP and I have zero.
No, and same thing with I said DeMarcus Ware, I meant DeMarcus Lawrence. Same thing there. I'm not worried about him at all. So there's a handful of those guys, but with them doing what they're doing, like Noah Brown has had a really good camp so far. I think them drafting Simi Fehoko lit a bit of a fire under Noah Brown's ass, and he's been lighting it up. Now, no matter how much of a fire is lit under his ass, he's still going to be really struggling to find any real playing time once the season starts, because there are 3 receivers above him that are, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, better than he is.
Right.
But, you can't ever have too many good receivers. And if he balls out early in the preseason, maybe we trade him, I mean, who knows? It gives us some options, but there's been a couple of D-line guys, a couple of linebackers, but the problem spot so far appears to be safety, which is why they went and signed Malik Hooker, which I'm all about that. But, you can tell by the way they're talking and the moves that they're making that this coaching staff, this front office, they're concerned about safety. They see that as their big hole.
Okay. For me, what I've taken away is that I think I was a Diggs guy last season, and I thought he really, really, I mean, I know Carson Wentz played like shit, and that's the reason why he's no longer an Eagle, right? I do expect him to rebound a little bit with the Colts. We'll see if that really does happen. But I know that it's not saying a lot to have all the deflections and the interceptions he had on that Sunday night game versus the Eagles. Is that right? Yeah. Or is it a Monday night? It's one of the two. Don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, it was a night game. I remember that. It was Sunday.
And then he got injured shortly after. I think he was finally he's an aggressive guy. And I think the big knock on him coming out of college was that in the NFL level, he will get burnt a little bit because he will be so aggressive that big plays can happen against him, right? And I think that he was really starting to turn the corner before the injury happened. And I liked what I've heard him say about Dan Quinn, his style of coaching. I like how I've seen him react. I'm just really pumped overall for him. Another guy for me, I know he started the first 2 days of camp. I haven't seen the report, nevertheless, but Neville Gallimore was a guy last year we drafted as well.
That's what I said.
I was real big on.
Second one. Yeah, absolutely.
He's big. He's got a motor. He was going to kind of be under the tutelage of Gerald McCoy last season until McCoy got injured, right? And he can get real fast. So I'm excited to see him play in the preseason as well. And then besides that, man, I just want to see Dak. Man, I know we're going to see very, very little in the preseason. Like, I can't even imagine how much, but I'm just excited to see him throw a pass.
Yeah.
And Hard Knocks is, it's cool too, because we're going to get, as a Cowboy-centric podcast and a freaking Dallas podcast, and being in Dallas, we're going to get all the Cowboys we can handle here in August. We've got more preseason games than anyone because we're playing the Hall of Fame game, and we've got Hard Knocks going on. Yeah. So it's going to be overload. This will be one of those years where we're like, not to say that we're not always invested anyway, but it's going to be a lot. And I'm ready for it, man. It's going to be cool.
Yeah, it's going to be turned up to 11, and I'm fine with that. I'm with you on the Dak thing. I'm watching videos of him throwing passes around at camp. Is very exciting. It's heartwarming. I just love that dude. I'm so glad that they got the contract worked out and that his leg hasn't fallen off, and all those things are great. He looks good. You're right. We're going to probably see very little of him in the preseason. If we see a lot of him in the preseason, I may hire a hitman to kill Mike McCarthy, because that will infuriate me. We don't need to see a ton.
Well, I tell you what, man, I think last year he played a quarter in the preseason.
Yeah.
So,
and that's fine. That right there is fine by me.
I might be wrong. It might have been a half, but it seemed like very, very,
very little. He did not, even adding all the games together, he did not play a full game's worth throughout the whole preseason, and that's fine by me. We don't need to see it. We need to see young guys, not just, at quarterback, at every position, because a lot of those guys, they didn't get the draft class from a year ago plus the draft class now. A lot of those guys haven't played football in a while. Michael Parsons didn't play last year. Bossman Fat hardly played last year. Osa Odigizua hardly played last year. So those guys, they got they've been in the building and they've been training for 4 months now, or however long it's been since the draft, 3 months. So but there's still a big difference between that and playing live football, and they've got rust to kick off. So let's get all those guys plenty of action. Our offense is going to be unbelievable as long as we can stay healthy. And I think our defense is going to be surprising. I don't think it's going to be top 10 or anything, but I think we'll top 15 defense. we're gonna have a lot of takeaways. That's my thought.
I think the NFC East is going to be way, way better than people think.
I think the Cowboys are going to be. I think we're going to win the division, but I think the Washingtons are going to be pretty good. You know, I think they're probably going to win 8 or 9 games, and I think New York is going to be better than a lot of people think.
That's the one. That is the one, dude. Like that right there, because they were hanging with teams last year, man. And then you had Kenny Golladay, who's a baller. Yeah. Healthy Barkley, if that's the case.
Yeah.
That team, man, and they're playing not a last place, a second place schedule, so not quite as hard as Washington's schedule. Yeah. Washington is weird to me because I think they should be really, really good, but no one wants to stick with Fitzpatrick, dude. They'll win. They'll start 3-0, and then they'll lose 2 games, and they'll bench him for home dude, the playoff hero. Who versus Tampa? Tyler Heineke, right?
Heineken or whatever.
I'm telling you, right? That's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to start like 2-0, 3-0, lose like 2 games, and then bench his ass, and then they'll lose the next 4 or 5, and then start him again, and then go on a run. It's so weird.
It's also because he is like, if you were going to look up the definition of a gunslinger quarterback, it's Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Sure.
So when it's working, it's great. He's going to throw 5 touchdowns and throw for 500, 400 yards in a game. But when it's not working, which also happens pretty often to him, he's going to throw 5 interceptions. You know, it happens every team he's with. It happens pretty much every year of his career. And so, Ron Rivera is a defensive-minded coach. He wants to run the football. He wants to win a close game. And Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to turn the ball over, and it's going to drive him fucking insane, and he's going to get benched. I'm 100%. I think you absolutely nailed it. I think they're going to win 2 or 3 straight to open the year. Sure. And then the bloom is going to be off the rose a little bit. People are going to see what Fitzpatrick does in this particular offense. He's going to have a game where he, throws 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. And then the next week, he's going to have like a 4 interception game. They're going to bench him in the 3rd or 4th quarter, and they're going to hand it over to Heineke. And then it's going to be a back and forth all year long. Where New York, if they can have a solid, they could very easily remind me of the 2016 Cowboys, in that when they had a rookie Dak, a hell of a running game, right? Their offensive line isn't nearly as good as ours was then, but it could be a decent offensive line, and then a really good defense.
Their defense is very good. It's a very good defense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is like the Cowboys definitely have a lot to prove, because they are, in my opinion, the worst defense in the division, just until they prove it, because I think they can end up not being that. But the Giants and especially the Giants and the football team, their personnel and packages and
everything,
it is so much better.
Yeah. I think Philly's going to end up with the worst defense statistically at the end of the year. I think Philly's defense is going to be the worst in the division. I think we're going to end up as the 2nd best defense in the division. I think, but it's going to be close. Like I said,
man.
I think our defense is going to finish somewhere around 12th. I think we're going to give up a lot, but I also think we're going to have a lot of takeaways. I think we're going to force a lot of turnovers.
I'm excited. Well, all right.
Yeah.
I think that's
put it in my veins.
I think that's all. Do you have anything else?
No, sir.
All right. So
the Rangers
next episode, I can already call what we're talking about. It's going to be a preview for the Hall of Fame game. What else is happening in camp? We're going to have free agency and draft for the Mavs to talk about. And I can guarantee we will not talk about the Rangers, because boy, it's bad.
It's awful.
So bad. So very, very bad.
The only reason we would talk about the Rangers is if a trade happens.
Sure. That, you know what? Yes, that would be, and you know what? That very well could be a thing.
I mean, if any sort of significant trade happens, we'll cover that. But other than that, short of something miraculous happening, there will be no Rangers talk for probably about roughly 9 months.
Absolutely. Well, that's it then. This is the Goal Line Fade. This is Zach. That's Brian. Thank you so very much for listening, whether it's 4 people, 45,000 people, 10 people, or 22. Those are weird numbers that it's pulled out, but it's awesome. Share, love, like, and we'll keep doing this darn thing. That's all for me. Peace.